I thought this would be a good time to share uh, a, a book that I wrote a number of years ago. This was just really 5 years ago. It's called Transforming Suffering into Wisdom, or Mindfulness and the Art of Inner Listening. And then there's a further subtitle called Applying Meditation to Everyday Life. So I'm George Kinder, and I've taught meditation, mindfulness practice for about 35 years. And 10 years ago or so, I thought, gosh, I've taught so many things and I'm beginning to, you can see my gray hairs and everything. I thought I'm beginning to lose my recollection of how I taught early on, some of the things I taught early on. Because as you practice, and I've practiced mindfulness now for 50 years myself, you deepen and you shift your focus, your priority changes, and what you're learning. You're really learning. I mean, mindfulness is really about studying the book, the great book of ourselves. And so you're learning constantly and constantly growing. So 10 years ago or so, I thought, gosh, I better get those teachings down. And I wanted to write something that was secular, that was because that's how I think of what I do, even though I have touched and been touched by many spiritual figures in the history of humanity, touched very deeply by them and learned from them. They're primarily where I've learned. But I thought in a society that is largely secular or where there's really way too much religious conflict, that it made sense to categorize and organize and inspire people to do practices of inner listening, of looking inside themselves, but really of sharpening their skills of focus, um, of attentiveness, of patience, of kindness. Um, very simply done in mind. Time to sharpen those skills and strengthen them. So I started writing all the lessons that I taught over the years and put them in a simple book, which is this book, Transforming Suffering into Wisdom. It feels particularly useful or valuable. Just the title itself says it. Transforming Suffering into Wisdom. Here we are in this terrible, terrible time for the world. People all over the world suffering, people dying needlessly, our governmental structures inadequately organized to actually address this in the most economical and efficient way. And many of us living in isolation now, in enforced simplicity that some of the great monks and teachers of the past taught us how to do, living lives of simplicity and often of poverty. So I thought that it might be valuable. I mean, the lessons, each chapter is about a page long. Some of them are two or three. And I thought how wonderful it would be to just simply pause and read each chapter and then reflect on them, to share them with you and maybe give you some way of framing and of reframing what it is that you're doing and giving more language to how to take this time that we're given by force, really, if we're and by our common responsibility to each other, um, to uh, to be inside more, both inside our walls, but also, if we are skillful, inside ourselves, with a simplicity that can grow us, that can nourish us, and can teach us. I learn more from an hour of mindfulness practice, far more, than I learned from any book of the greatest of teachers, the wisest of teachers. And you can see I've got books behind me, both my own books and other books that I love. I'm passionate about passionate about books. So, so I thought I would give these, read these over a series of times and post them. So this is the first one, and I think I've said. Is there anything else I want to say? The photograph's mine. The photograph comes from I live on a spit of land that goes out into a small lake. That's not the coronavirus, I don't think. I hope anyway. But it's a spit of land that goes out into a lake, and I take photographs every day. I write poetry every day as part of my spiritual practice, and I practice mindfulness in a significant way every day. For me, my mornings are dedicated to what I care about most, and those three things are three of them. The photography being part of wild creativity that I love. But I will be sharing really from the book teachings, how to transform suffering into wisdom. I hope you'll join me. Thank you.